All right, well, good evening, everyone. If you can go ahead and make your way, if you're VBS age, if you're middle school and down, you can go ahead and make your way up here to these front pews. If you're adults and you want to sit back there, that's all right. We'd love for you to come up and hang out with us, but, that's all right. But we're so glad to be back here tonight with y'all. This is our last night of VBS, so I know. Oh man, I wish we could do it longer, but some people, yay. But we're so excited and we're so thankful for all the parents and all the people here from this church that put in all extra hours coming up to the church building to help prepare things and even get things ready at home to make this happen. So if you guys would give the parents and everyone a round of applause, just saying thank you. So thank you to all the parents and members here that have put in all this work to make VBS possible. So we're so thankful for that. What has been our theme for VBS? Yeah, Evan? Moses, yeah. And what about Moses? Yeah. What? Yeah, we're talking about Moses' life. You guys remember what we said yesterday. So the theme is, where God leads, we will follow. I couldn't hear you guys. Where God leads, we will follow. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we've been talking about Moses and how he was called by God to help lead the people out, the people of Israel out of what country? What was it? You guys remember? Yeah, Asher? Yeah, they were leading, he was leading them out of Egypt. And so tonight is the last night, so we're getting to the end of Moses' journey. Again, we've got another skit prepared for you guys, and we're super excited to see what Moses is up to now. But before we get started, I want you guys to stand up. We're going to sing some songs before the skit happens. Whoa. That was weird. That's all right. All right. There we go. So, all right. Can you guys get your finger out? So, by the end of VBS, our goal is to let our light shine in the community. That's what this is all about, is following God, but also leading others to follow Him as well. So this song really helps us remember that. So, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine all the time. Let it shine all around the neighborhood. I'm going to let it shine all around the neighborhood. I'm going to let it shine all around the neighborhood. I'm going to let it shine all the time. Let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No. I'm going to let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No. I'm going to let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No. I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine all the time. Let it shine. Don't let the devil it out. I'm going to let it shine. Don't let Satan it out. I'm going to let it shine. Don't let Satan it out. I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine all the time. Let it shine. All right. So I was asked to do this song again. We're going to try it again, Little Red Box. Can you guys get your little red box out? All right, when we get to the end of this, I'll show you what we're going to do instead, because I think I messed up the lyrics the other day. I don't know, it was a few years ago when I learned it, but it was great. So this is how we're going to do it. So, I wish I had a little red box to keep my mommy in. I take her out and put her back again. I wish I had a little red box to keep my daddy in. I take him out and put him back again. I wish I had a little red box to keep my friends in. I take them out and put them back again. I wish I had a little red box to keep my Jesus in. I take them out and put them back again. All right, for the devil, so what we're going to do, I need you guys to show your stomping skills, okay? I want to see some big stomps, okay? All right, so when we do this one, we're going to say, we're going to go and we're going to say stomp, stomp, stomp. But instead of putting him back in the box, we're going to tell him to stay out because we don't want the devil in our lives, do we? No, that's no good, no bueno. So we're going to tell him to stay out. I want you guys to yell as loud as you can, stay out when we get to that part, okay? Can you guys do that? All right. I wish I had a little black box to keep my devil in. I take him out and stomp, 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 and stay out! There we go. Good job, guys. All right. I need a couple volunteers for this song. Okay. We'll get Evan, and let's get one more person. Let's get someone on this side. Okay. Is it Rima? Is that how you say your name? Okay. Rima, you want to come up here? All right. And we'll have one more song where we'll do that. Okay. All right. So what's that? Okay. Sophie. I'm just kidding. All right, we'll keep these guys for now, but we'll have another song where we'll have you guys come up too. All right, do you remember this one? Okay. You want to show me how to do it? Okay, all right, you got it? Good job. All right, you got it? Okay, all right. All right, we're going to do this one slow, okay? Let's go slow-mo. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in God. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. I'm all wrapped up, tied up, tangled up in God. Oh yeah. All right, do you think we can go a little bit faster? A little bit faster? All right. All right. You want to do it with me? All right. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in God. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. I'm all wrapped up, tied up, tangled up in God. Oh yeah. All right. You guys think we can go a little faster? Okay. A little faster? Okay. We're going to go really fast for this one, okay? I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in God. I'm all wrapped up, I'm all tied up, I'm all tangled up in Jesus. Wrapped up, tied up, tangled up in God. Oh yeah. Oh, that's pretty fast. Okay. All right, guys, you can have a seat. Okay. Good job, guys. Great job. All right. All right. If you love Jesus, clap your hands. Sock it to the devil. If you love Jesus, stomp your feet. Na 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 na. Ooh, ah, sock it to the devil. If you love Jesus, nod your head. Na 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 na. Ooh, ah. Sock it to the devil. If you love Jesus, spin around. Na 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 na. Ooh ah! Sock it to the devil. If you love Jesus, do all four. Na 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 na. Sock it to the devil. All right. Now I need some more helpers for this song, okay? All right. We'll get Hope, and then we'll get, let's see. Zoe, you want to come up here? And one more. Oh, Titus? Should we get Titus? Okay. The OG, as the kids say. I'm just kidding. All right. All right, you want to do it? You want to come up here with us? You can do it. All right. You want to lead us in it? All right. This is the... All right. All right, you guys got it? Can you guys do it? Okay. All right, Hope, can you do it? Can you do it? All right, sorry. You guys get your elbows? Okay. You guys do that? God made the seas, and the forest filled with trees, made the mountains up so high. At the top he placed the sky, his fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much he cares. In the middle he has some fun, the ways of time. Hip, 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 bottom mist. Hip, hip, hooray, God made all of us. Hip, 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 bottom mist. Hip, hip, hooray, God made all of us. In the beginning God made the seas, and the forest filled with trees. Had the mountains up so high. At the top he placed the sky. God's fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much he cares. In the middle he has some fun. Made a kangaroo that jumps a ton. Kangaroo. Hip, hip, hooray, God made me and you. Kangaroo. Hip, hip, hooray, God made me and you. In the beginning God made the seas, and the forest filled with trees, made the mountains up so high. At the top he placed the sky. God's fingerprints are everywhere, just to show how much he cares. In the middle he had some fun. Made a manatee just for fun. Made a manatee. Hip, hip, hooray, God made you and me. Made a manatee. Hip, hip, hooray, God made you and me. All right, great job, guys. Great job, great job. Good job, guys. Great job. All right, so now we're going to sit down for this song. Yeah, we'll sit down. We've been moving a lot today, so. All right, we'll sing this song, and then we will have our skit, correct? Is that next? Okay, oh, we got one more? Okay, all right, we got a couple more, so we'll be doing a little bit more singing, so. I think sometimes we forget this is what this is all about, is how much Jesus loves us. So I think this is a great song to kind of finish some of our last day off of, is doing this song here. So, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to Him belong. They are weak, but He is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. All right. Now we have our skit prepared for you guys. We're going to see what Israel and Moses are up to now.
Last night, the Israelites were urgently fleeing Egypt after Pharaoh finally let them go. They were not prepared for the journey because they had little time to leave. Moses was leading them, under God's wise instruction, to the promised land, the land of Canaan. The quickest route to get there was through the land of the Philistines. The Philistines were a large nation who were blocking the way. God decided to take the Israelites around the Philistines, through the wilderness to Mount Sinai. They ran into a big problem, however. The Red Sea was standing in the way, and with no visible way to get across. Also, the stubborn Pharaoh had changed his mind. He sent 600 chariots after the Israelites in order to recapture them, but nothing can stand in God's way. And he had a faultless plan on how to rescue the Israelites. God performed an impressive miracle. God told Moses to stretch his hand over the Red Sea, and the sea was driven back by an east wind all night long. In the morning, there was a dry path through the midst of the sea. The waters made two massive walls on either side, making a clear path. But the Egyptians were still pursuing them, and they were quickly approaching. Moses and the nation of Israel crossed through the sea easily on dry ground. Once they made it safely to the other side, God told Moses, "Stretch his hand back over the sea." The waters closed up upon the Egyptians. The Israelites saw the miracle. They feared and The Israelites saw the miracle. They feared and believed in the Lord. But the Israelites began to grumble. They were wandering through the seemingly endless wilderness with no food or water for 3 days. God heard their cries and sent them to the springs of water, yet they still complained. So God sent manna in the morning and quail in the evening. The manna was a fine substance. It was white, and it tasted like wafers of honey. When the Israelites first saw it, they said, "What is it?" And that is where it got the name manna from. The Israelites continued on, but once again they grew thirsty and grumbled to Moses. Moses asked God what he should do. God told him,
"You shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it."
Moses did as he was told, and the Israelites drank. And so we come to the close on Moses' story. He continued leading the Israelites to Canaan for 40 years. In all that time, the nation of Israel received food and water. Their clothing, their shoes never wore out. That shows what a powerful, dedicated God we serve. He will protect like he protected the Israelites and Moses.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. Give another round of applause for all of our skit people. They did such a great job. And our readers, too. They did a great job. So now we're learning about Moses and how he is going to help the people cross the Red Sea. And so teachers, you are dismissed to take your kids to their stations. And then junior high, I will get with you guys and we'll head over to the annex.
Did everybody who wants a worksheet get a worksheet? Got some in the back. Anybody need one? All right. No, 2. Hold on there and I'll grab a couple. Oh, hey. We got Alan on the spot here. All right, our last night. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about that. Anybody tired? I think the kids have had a really good time. And I don't know about you, but if you haven't walked down this south hallway and looked around in the foyer, it's just outstanding how much work has gone in to making this place look great. Looks like Egypt, looks like the Red Sea, except it's blue. And just a lot of work, a lot of creativity, a lot of hours put into it, and that's much to be appreciated. All right, as you can see from the worksheet, we've got several things we can talk about tonight. My plan is, it's already 10 till 7. How about if we go until 20 after? That'll give us a half an hour or so. Go till 20 after, take a break, and come back and finish up, because we won't probably get through all this tonight, but I think these are things worth talking about with regard to the Exodus and what's going on, the big picture. God was bringing people out of Egypt who'd been there for 400 years, actually 430. That's how much time had expired since Jacob's family went down there. So they didn't have much of a religious or spiritual education. Previous to this, we know that people offered sacrifices, animal sacrifices, so that's about the extent of our knowledge. We know there were some priests. Can you name two of those priests we talked about? Who's one? Melchizedek was a priest. Who else? Jethro, yeah. Two priests we know of prior to the giving of the law on Mount Sinai. And we know there were animal sacrifices. But other than that, we don't know a whole lot about the religion, about the practices of what God had told the people. So when we get these when we get these probably about 3 million Israelites out of Egypt, God's got to do some training. He needs to impress on them who he is and what kind of a relationship he wants to have with them. And there are always things to be observed. And that's what we're looking at here in some of the things we've got here tonight. At the top it says all the following references are from Exodus except where noted. There's a couple of references to other books or letters, but most of these references are from Exodus. So instead of writing Exodus out all the time, you'll just know that's a reference to Exodus. First part is God introduces himself as the I am. In chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, this is where Moses and God are talking at the burning bush. God said to Moses, this is chapter 3, verse 5, "Do not come near here. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you're standing is holy ground." He said also, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And then Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Now, it doesn't come out in the English, but when you read in verse 6, "I am the God of your father Jacob," in the Hebrew, it says, "I am the God of Abraham, I am the God of Isaac, and I am the God of Jacob." He repeats that same word 3 times. He says it once, and then he repeats it 3 times. So, in the blanks, what are we going to put there? Moses is told not to blank the burning bush, not to come near, and to blank his shoes, remove his shoes, because he is on holy ground. This is not just a religious observance. God is teaching Moses something about who he is and the difference between them. Chapter 3, verses 13 to 15, same chapter, a little farther on down. Moses said to God, "Behold, I'm going to the sons of Israel, and I'll say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. Now they may say to me, what is his name, and what shall I say to them?" And God said to Moses, "I am who I am." That's how we express it in English. He said, "Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you." God furthermore said to Moses, "Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial name to all generations." It's interesting what he says and how Jesus will use that later on. So, there at chapter 3, verse 13 to 15, God tells Moses that he is to tell the Israelites that blank, blank, who, blank, blank. And it's I am who I am. That is what God calls himself as we would say it in English. Of course, the Hebrew is different, but this is a good translation. And then Matthew 22, 23 to 33. Keep a marker there in Exodus and go to Matthew 22. Jesus is asked a question about marriage. They think they've got him this time because there was a woman who had a husband and he died, and so she married his surviving brother, and then he died, and she married again until he had she had a whole bunch of husbands. And that was the question, whose wife is she going to be in the resurrection? And they really thought they had him this time. So Jesus says this, verse 29. You're mistaken, not understanding the scriptures nor the power of God. Now think about that statement. Today, we want to be really nice. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. But imagine Jesus, God, saying to these men who thought they were learned and were trying to catch him up, he says, you're mistaken. You don't know the scriptures. You don't know the power of God. How offended do you think they might have been? If their interest, however, was in truth, that's what somebody who wants truth wants to hear. They want to hear, oh, that's a mistake, what you're saying there. Don't go that way. Let me show you a better way. Let me show you the right way. Verse 30, for in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. But regarding the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken to you by God? That's one of my favorite questions of Jesus. Have you not read? The implication is you should have read this and should have figured this out. I think that's the implication anyway. And then he says in verse 32, when he quotes what God said to Moses in chapter 3 of Exodus, I am the God of Jacob, or the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And what point does Jesus make through that? He's saying these guys aren't dead. They've passed from this life. But God doesn't say, I was the God of Abraham, because by the time he's talking to Moses, Abraham had been dead for hundreds of years. And God doesn't say, hey, Moses, I was the God of your great-great-grandfather Abraham. He says, I am the God of Abraham. In other words, Abraham is still alive. And so is Isaac. So is Jacob. So, to fill in that blank, here Jesus shows us how the very blank of the name God calls himself has meaning. And what you would put in that blank is tense, T-E-N-S-E. Our English words, every word in every language that's a verb has a tense. And Jesus is saying the very tense. When God said he is the God of Abraham, that's important. Which, yes. Absolutely. And that's a hard concept for us because all we know is time. And that's why we have tenses, because we understand time and how time works. At least we have an understanding of time. But God is constantly present. There's no change with him. One day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. That's what Peter said. So he's in a category all to himself when it comes to time and eternity. And by the way, eternity is not time. I just throw this in. When we try to describe eternity to someone, oftentimes we'll say, well, it's just like a real long period of time. And it's not a long period of time. Eternity is not time at all. Time is something completely different. What illustrations have you heard of eternity? The big steel ball the size of the earth, and an ant's walking around it, and by the time the ant wears that ball in two, eternity has just started. It's like, oh, God, that's a long time. Well, I'll be wore out. I won't be bored in heaven. That's the implication that such a long period of time gives us. But eternity is not time. it's a different creature altogether. So suffice it to say, that's probably enough for that. All right, number 2. The holiness of God is impressed upon the reader. You don't even have to be Jewish. You're reading Exodus, you're going to see God is teaching us that he is holy. Chapter 3, verse 5 again, same passage we read a bit ago. Moses is told that he is on holy ground. Why is it holy ground? Not because Moses is there. It's holy because God is there. Chapter 12, 14 to 16, this is regarding the Passover. This is the first Passover, by the way, the one they had in Egypt, the last of the 10 plagues. It says, now this day will be a memorial to you, and you shall celebrate it as a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You are to celebrate it as a permanent ordinance. 7 days you're to eat unleavened bread, but on the first day you shall remove leaven from your house. For whoever eats leaven, anything leavened from the first day until the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall have a holy assembly, and another holy assembly on the 7th day. No work at all shall be done on them except what must be eaten by every person, and that alone may be prepared by you. So a holy assembly, you have it on the first part of the Passover and the last day of the Passover week. It's holy. What makes it holy? What makes anything holy? If God chooses it, that makes it holy. If he doesn't choose it, that doesn't make it bad, but the biblical word used to describe something that God has not chosen is profane. And sometimes that's difficult for us to see because we think of profanity as dirty language. But if something is profane in a biblical sense, that simply means it's not something that is holy. Remember Nadab and Abihu in Leviticus chapter 10? They offered strange fire before the Lord. And what did God do? He killed them both with fire that came down out of heaven. And then in the aftermath, he's explaining to Moses, make sure the priests don't drink before they come to do their service, because if they drink, they may lose their judgment. Now, these words aren't spelled out, but you can read between the lines. And they will fail to make a distinction between the holy and the profane. What God chooses is holy. Everything else is profane. And that goes right back to the 4th chapter of Genesis, where Cain and Abel are offering sacrifices. Why was Abel's offering accepted? Number one, it was made by faith. But if it was made by faith, that means God had to have given them some instruction, and here are the holy instructions, Abel, for how you offer. But here are the holy instructions also to Cain, and Cain did not offer what he should have. And what did God ask him? He said, if you do right, won't you be accepted? If you will humble yourself and do the right thing, you'll be accepted. So there are holy things and there are profane things, and God is teaching Israel that he is holy, and when you come into his presence, it's a holy presence. And when you have this assembly, that's a holy assembly. There are all kinds of assemblies, but this one's a holy. These two are holy assemblies. All right. Chapter 16, verse 22 to 23. This is when God provides the manna. And remember, Moses has not yet gone up on Mount Sinai to receive the law. They haven't got that yet, so they don't yet understand about the Sabbath. And so here we are in chapter 16 when Moses is teaching them about manna. He says this, on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And then all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moses, and then he said to them, this is what the Lord meant. Tomorrow is a Sabbath observance, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over put aside to be kept until morning. So they put it aside until morning as Moses had ordered, and it did not become foul, nor was there any worm in it. Why? Because the next day was a holy day, and they weren't supposed to work. The next day was the Sabbath, and God will teach them, and he's starting to teach them here, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So, did we get any blanks filled in? Am I just talking and you're filling them in on your own, huh? I worked really hard to put those blanks in there. I should stop and let you fill them in. Regarding the Passover, they were to have a holy assembly, holy convocation, if you like. Chapter 16, 22 to 23, in teaching the people about manna, they are taught that the blank is holy. The Sabbath is holy. There you go. Chapter 19, 5 through 6. God says, "Now then, if you'll indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be my own possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the sons of Israel." So, God decrees that if Israel will blank his voice, obey, if you'll obey, and keep his covenant. What's a covenant? It's an agreement between two or more people. Here's what I'll do. Here's what you'll do. And as long as I keep my part and do what I'll do, then you'll keep your part and do what you'll do. And this is what God had arranged with Israel. I'm going to take care of you guys. Every need you have, I'm going to fulfill. I'm going to protect you from your enemy. I'm going to bless those who bless you. I'm going to curse those that curse you. I'm going to take you to the promised land. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. I'm going to help you defeat your enemies. I'm going to help your crops to grow. Everything they needed, he was going to fulfill. He was going to keep disease away from them. They had a great covenant with God if they would obey him. All right. Chapter 19, verses 9 to 15. The Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I'll come to you in a thick cloud so that the people may hear when I speak with you and may also believe in you forever." And then Moses told the words of the Lord, or the words of the people to the Lord. The Lord also said to Moses, "Go to the people, consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments, and let them be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, beware that you do not go up on the mountain or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. No hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether beast or man, he shall not live. When the ram's horn sounds the long blast, they shall come up to the mountain." Oh man, I meant to bring my ram's horn tonight and blow it. So, I'm coming down to the mountain to meet Moses. What are the people supposed to do? We don't use this word much, but they're supposed to consecrate themselves. Wash your clothes. You guys don't have anything to do with a woman for the next 3 days. This is the consecration. It's like a fast that separates you from the normal way you would behave, because this is a special time. Something special is going to happen. So, all this is about God trying to train the Israelites to understand his holiness. That's what all this is about. Fill in the blanks. In preparation for Moses meeting God on Sinai, the people were to blank themselves, consecrate themselves by blanking their clothes, washing their clothing, and abstaining from blank relations, sexual or intimate relations, however you want to put that down. Chapter 26, verse 33. This is about the tabernacle. Did I get that right? Oh, yeah. You shall hang up the veil under the clasps, and shall bring in the ark of the testimony there within the veil. And the veil shall serve for you as a partition between the holy place and the holy of holies. You shall put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony in the holy of holies. So there is, well, let me look at what I put down here. Moses has shown that the blank that in the blank there is to be a room designated as the holy place. Tabernacle, in the tabernacle. By the way, what does the word tabernacle mean? Tent. Means a tent, and that's what it was. God wanted them to build something that they could pack up and move. As they moved, they could pack up this tabernacle, this tent. It was a fancy tent, but a tent nonetheless. And they could pack it up and move it. Who did the moving of the tabernacle? The tribe of Levi did the moving of the tabernacle as they went through on their way to the promised land. But that's what it was. It was a tent. So Moses has shown that the tabernacle there, in the tabernacle, there is to be room designated as the holy place and another to be deemed the blank holy place. Most holy place. Holy place and the most holy place. By the way, speaking of the most holy place, who could go in the most holy place? Only the high priest. How often could he go in? Once a year. First, he would take in the incense, so the cloud of incense would fill the space, and then he would come in with a sacrifice of blood for his own sins, and then he would come in and have blood to atone for the people's sins. And that was one day a year. If you look on your calendar, sometime you'll see Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Hebrew for Day of Atonement. That's what this is all about. And it all took place in the most holy place. Observations. Anybody got anything? We got about 9 minutes. Did I say 7:20? All right. Starting to get ready for a cookie. Oh, get that mouth ready. Number 3, deeper lessons from the 10 Commandments. This is from chapter 20. We are probably pretty familiar with the 10 Commandments. But it occurs to me, I couldn't necessarily prove this. I think I've got evidence for it. But I think there's more to the 10 Commandments than just the specific wording of each one. The first 4, verse 3, you shall have no other gods before me. That's the first commandment. Chapter 20, verse 4, you shall not make for yourself an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven, what is on the earth beneath, what is in the water and under the water. And the next one, verse 7, and the next one, verse 8. The effect of the first 4 commandments would have been to teach them to blank God. Honor, revere, respect. I think revere for me would probably be the best word because you don't revere anybody who's human. You can honor and respect a human being, but you wouldn't revere a human being, so I would put revere. But that's the idea of the first 4. They were about how you respond to God. Don't have any other gods before me. Don't make any graven images. Don't take my name in vain. And by the way, I don't believe that was about cursing as we understand cursing today. What was a curse initially, or when you swear? So you're swearing. You shouldn't swear. Well, what's a swear? Swearing is when you say, by this or by that, I'm gonna do this. When we go to a courtroom today, they'll have a Bible. And they'll offer you that Bible to put your hand on the Bible and hold your other hand up and swear on the Bible. You're invoking God in an oath is what you're doing by that. And I think that's what God was talking about here. He wasn't talking about just using bad language. However, don't go away from here and say, well, Marty said it's okay to use God's name when you're swearing, because that's not what that commandment talks about. The commandment is way more lofty. If we want to, when I'm watching a movie, and there's a particular actor, I won't tell you who it is, but every movie I've seen him in, he says Jesus Christ, and he doesn't say it because he's praying. And so when I see a movie with him in it, I don't watch it. But that's not what this is talking about. I don't think this is talking about when you swear and you swear by me, you better make that come to pass. Do not take my name in vain. That's because he's holy, and he wants to be revered. Paul?
On that subject, James covers it really well when he says, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yes.
And anything outside of that is not the standard that God would have his people,
Right. And where did James get that, I wonder? What did Jesus say on the Sermon on the Mount? He said, why do you swear by heaven or swear by the throne? You can't make one hair of your head white or black. And here you are swearing about what is the earth? It's God's footstool. Which, by the way, sort of refutes this idea that God's going to come back and set up his kingdom here on the earth. Why would he set up a kingdom on his footstool anyway? Don't get me off on that. I'm sorry, I got me off on that. But that's what swearing is all about, taking God's name in vain. Don't invoke me to make a promise and then not fulfill your promise. That's basically what that is. Okay. Where are we here? Chapter 20, verses 12 to 17. The first one, verse 12. Chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your father and your mother. And then he says with that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives you. That's interesting. God could have just said, honor your father and mother. There's the command. But he said, listen, you honor your father and mother, I'm going to give you long life. Your days are going to be long in the land where I'm sending you. Your longevity is based on your willingness to honor your mom and your dad. And we might be tempted to say, well, you haven't met my mom and my dad. All moms or dads are moms and dads. And I'm a dad, and it would be easy for my kids to say, yeah, Dad says this and did that, and he's not very what he says he is. Now, they don't do that, but they could, because I'm a human being. And God says, in spite of that, honor your mother and your father. He doesn't give any qualifications. Honor your mother and your father. And if you do that, I will prolong your days. And then 13, you shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, his male servant or his female servant or his ox or his donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. So, in that second bullet point under number 3, the effect of the final 6 commandments would have been to teach them to blank the blank of their fellow man. What might you put in those blanks? Respect the rights. I would put respect the rights of their fellow man. There's more to this than just don't murder. Remember Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount again. You have heard that it has been said. How many times did he make that statement? He made it 6 times. You've heard that it's been said, and then how do you follow that up? But I say to you, and then he gives us an amplified view of the law. He's saying this isn't just about not murdering somebody. What's that? It's the heart, yes. Yeah. If you hate somebody without cause, there's so much more to this. John would come along, the apostle, and he would say in 1 John, he that hates his brother is a murderer. That's what it gets down to. This isn't simply about not killing somebody. There's more to it than that, but that's the law. Don't kill anybody. And if you understand what I mean by don't kill anybody, you'll start thinking about how you ought to respond to people. Don't commit adultery. What's that? That's breaking a covenant. There has never been adultery done that didn't hurt somebody. Same with stealing. Same with bearing false witness. You ever had anybody lie about you or lie to you about somebody else and messed up relationships? Do not bear false witness. These last 6 show us to respect the rights of people. This is the way it was with my mom. I would do something, and in my mind, I'm thinking, well, she never told me I couldn't do that. And when I'd get caught, she'd say, Marty Kessler, didn't you know better? Well, how did she expect me to know better if she didn't specifically tell me about that thing? Because we're not stupid. If your mom gives you all these rules that impress on you, you better respect that person and this person. You say thank you, you say you're welcome, you say yes, sir, you say no, sir. That's not simply teaching your children to say yes, sir, and no, sir, and thank you, and you're welcome, and please. That's teaching your child that other people are valuable, and you better respect them, and you better treat them with respect. That's why things like this are so important. Now, little ones, they don't understand those concepts when they're little. That's why we have to teach them what we call by rote. And I think that's what God is doing with Israel. He's saying, don't kill each other. Oh, well, okay. Don't steal anybody else's stuff. Well, okay. Don't commit adultery with anybody else's wife. Well, okay. Don't even covet their stuff. You can covet in private. You don't even have to tell anybody, but don't do that. Don't look at somebody else and think you'd like to have their stuff. Don't do that, God says. That's one of the 10. Do not bear false witness against your neighbor. Don't hurt people with your behaviors. He's teaching us and training us, and he's teaching them and training them to respect everybody else's rights as they would respect their own. The first 4 teach them to revere him. The 6 tell them to respect each other. Anybody got anything on that? All right.
If it says swear not, swear not.
Yeah. Avoid swearing. It's better to let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. All right, number 4. Oh, time for break. I said we'd take a break, did I not? I don't want to speak in vain, so let's take a break. Come back at 10 till. How about that? All right, we ready to finish this thing up? We've got 25 minutes until they come in here. So we'll see if we can get it done in that amount of time. Down at the bottom, number 4. A relationship with God does not involve magic, but rather faith in Him. Put this in there for a couple of reasons. Magic was a pretty common thing in the ancient world. And you remember when Moses went down and God gave him a serpent out of his rod, that the Egyptian magicians were able to turn their rods into serpents as well. And they duplicated the first couple of plagues, turning water to blood, at least made it look like that. I don't know if they actually did or not, but they had some kind of power. But that was not God doing that. However they did it, it was not God, and this was a completely different power. So, chapter 12, verse 13, the blank of the Passover lamb on their doorposts and lintels secured the safety of all in that blank. So what would you put in the first blank? Blood, the blood. The blood of the Passover lamb on their doorposts and lintels. Philip, would you mind closing that door, please? He's not. Yeah. Here they come. Was that you making all that noise down there, Karen? The blood of the Passover lamb on their doorposts and lintels secured the safety of all in that house, everybody in the house. Put this down here because it doesn't talk about this, but that was what you were supposed to do. What if you didn't put the blood on the doorpost? And here's what it says. This is chapter 12, verse 12. I will go through the land of Egypt on that night, and will strike down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I'm the Lord. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Could somebody not make the argument, well, even if there's no blood on the doorpost, God would know if the people in the house were righteous, wouldn't He? That's important. What He had said about them being a holy people is conditional on 2 things. And the first one of those things was obey my voice. If you obey my voice, keep my covenant, you'll be a holy nation, you'll be my holy nation. And so when He says, put the blood of the lamb on the doorposts and the lintels, God doesn't have to see the blood to know who's in that house. As Jesus said, He knows every hair on our head, and not a sparrow falls to the ground without Him knowing it. So he would know. But the blood was what had to be there because God said, that's what I want you to do. Now, if you painted blood on your doorpost, is it your works that saved you? This is a trick question. This is the same, it is, but it's much more than that. It's everything. What's that? It's faith in action. It's an expression of faith. Okay, God said to do it, so I'm going to do it. There never seemed to be a question among the Israelites as to the theological ramifications of whether or not you put blood on your door. God said do it, so we're just going to do it. We're just going to put blood on the door. Obedience, yes. If you didn't put the blood on there, what's God obligated to do if there's no blood? He's obligated to kill the firstborn, every firstborn in that house, because He said, here's the way it's going to be. So, what's that? Right.
God's judgment.
And one guy will put blood on, another guy won't. That doesn't mean the guy that did is a better guy than the other guy. It just means he did by faith what he was instructed to do. Yes?
You put the blood on the doorpost. Does that mean your cattle will not be killed the firstborn in your cattle.
I would think so, because that included all the animal, all the livestock. And God would know whose cattle were whose, just like knows the hairs on your head, whose goats were whose sheep were whose, ducks and geese, chicks, better scurry. On the Passover night, if there's no blood in your surrey, okay, well, it rhymes, but it doesn't really, okay. Anybody else seen Oklahoma? Oh, what a beautiful morning. How'd I get off on that? All right, other page. Chapter 12, verse 46. Even though the lamb was to be blanked and its blood used to mark the doorpost, no blank of it were to be blanked. Eaten. It was to be eaten, or you could put killed or eaten, either one, and its blood used to mark the doorpost. No blank of it were to be blanked. No bones were to be broken. Don't break the bones. So that is, if you want to call it a rule, stipulation, it's one of the governing factors of how do you do this lamb? Well, there were other instructions, of course. You didn't skin it like you would normally do an animal that you slaughtered, and you didn't cut it up for roasting. You would leave the animal intact and roast it over the fire. That's what you were supposed to do. And because this was a meal, just like the bread, why didn't they put leaven in? Because this was a meal to be eaten, made and eaten in haste. It's a hurry. This is the quickest way to do it. Just kill it, put it on the fire, roast it, and everything's all together, and then you just eat the meat as it gets roasted.
Egypt, they were also told not to take any leaven with them.
Right. So there were a lot of stipulations.
Take out the antennas and ticker stuff, get rid of that.
Well, actually, I don't know. Let's go back and look and see if it says anything in detail about that. Well, you wouldn't have to eat that because there's going to be stuff left over, and it specifies that. Whatever's left over, you burn in the fire. Let's see. Well, it's a thing of interest. Verse 8 of chapter 12, they shall eat the flesh that same night, roasted with fire. They shall eat it with unleavened bread, bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled at all with water, but rather roasted with fire, both its head and its legs, along with its entrails. So the entrails stay in there. And I don't remember reading anything about skinning it, but if they did, it's just not in the text. But this was a meal prepared in haste and eaten in haste, and you had to eat it with all your clothes on. How picky was God about all of that? Well, I don't know, but he didn't fail to give them instructions as how to do it. And that's often what we ask when God says, or when somebody says, I want you to do it this way. So, well, how do you want it this color, that color? How big do you want it to be? Where do you want it to be placed? And we got questions, and God says, here are the answers to your questions. All right, number 5, slavery unto freedom. Chapter 21, verses 1 through 11. What's that? The end of the last question? Oh, broken. No bones of it were to be broken. Is that the one? Okay. Yes. That was, everything was based on what was going to happen in 1400 years, thereabouts, when Christ was crucified on the cross. He was the Passover, and what he was doing wasn't based on the Passover. The Passover was based in what God was going to do through Christ. And so he gave them the Passover as a figure of what he was eventually going to do through Christ. Chapter 21. Sometimes people will say to you, trying to detract from the Bible and from Christianity, oh, you Christians, you're hypocrites. The Bible talks about slavery, and the Bible says slavery is a good thing. Well, don't know that it says that. It allows it, and here's how it is allowed. These are some of the some of the ordinances concerning slavery or servitude. Now, these are the ordinances which are to set before them. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve for 6 years, and on the seventh day, what happens? He goes out free. That's why I entitled this piece, Slavery unto Freedom.
That's right, but if he wasn't a Hebrew, then
Doesn't specify. But once again, we're back to, okay, God says if he's a Hebrew, I have to set him free on the seventh year. A right-thinking man would probably say, well, shouldn't I do that for anybody who's a good servant? Treat them the same? The law doesn't specify.
the reason I asked that is to give them a reason to become Jewish, maybe so that even though they were slaves, they saw how these people lived. If they lived like that and they were Hebrew, and on the seventh year they would become free. But they would be part of the Jewish people. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Well, and our view of slavery is tainted by all the controversy over how slavery was done in this country in the early days. But slavery, we're like the last country in the world to do slavery, and we eradicated slavery here, but there's still tons of nations in the world that still practice slavery. Even in this country, there are people who are enslaved in different kinds of trades who aren't allowed to go, they don't have freedom. And if the law catches them, then that'll change. But
Some countries are treated as slaves, even
Right.
though they're wives. I mean, it's just.
But this was not about, here's a way to make people do what you want. This was more, if you think about the circumstance, this was more about welfare that wasn't just welfare. It's marvelous that we live in a country where our government will say, we're going to try to take care of people who aren't able to take care of themselves. We're going to provide for them. Of course, there's a lot of abuse that comes with that, and people that could work don't work because they get their name on the till and then they take money from the government. But the idea is a good idea, except for the fact that the government ought to be saying to the people, the citizens, all right, you want to help people, you help people. The government's not going to take charge of that. That's not what the government's for, anyway. But that's another kind of a question. What God is saying is, slavery is okay as long as you do it the way I want you to do it. If you've got a servant or a slave, he works for you for 6 years, and the seventh year, he goes free, unless what? Keep reading. If the slave plainly says, verse 5, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out as a free man, then his master shall bring him to God, and he shall bring him to the door of the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him permanently. If you have cattle, how do you treat them? Joe's not in here, so I can't ask her. You ever see any of Joe's stuff on? She's in love with her cows. She just loves those cows. If you have goats, what's that? Tag them. Ear tag, yeah, okay. But I'm talking about, how do you value your cattle? Do you go out there with a stick and beat on them all day? Well, no, of course not. You try to get good feed, and you make sure they've got green grass and plenty of water, because those are your cattle, and you want to take care of your cattle. And if you've got goats or ducks or geese, you want to provide for them and make a situation where you can prosper through them. Servants were exactly the same. If you have flocks and herds, by the way, who had flocks and herds that he had to have 318 guys to take care of them? Abraham did. He had 318 servants. Would you call them slaves? Well, you might call them slaves, but they worked for him. And in that day, if you didn't have anything, you were in a bad spot. And if you could go down the road and there was a guy who had flocks and herds and he had a bunch of servants of his own, and you could say, hey, could I be one of your servants? Well, yeah, here are my rules. Here's how you have to live if you're going to be one of us. We're going to put you in charge of the goats, and you're going to work with the head goat herder, and you're going to learn how to herd goats. And then when you finish learning how to herd goats, we'll put you over here, and you work with this guy who works with growing sorghum or whatever you want to grow, because everybody had to have some molasses back then, whatever it was. If you've got a servant, you're going to put him to work, and in the process of working, he's going to learn something. So at the end of 6 years, the idea is he's going to have enough skills, perhaps, if he wants to, he can go out on his own. There are other rules and laws in other books of the law that said when you send him out, you don't send him out empty-handed. 7th year, you send him out with a grub stake. You give him enough to get started on his own. This is the way slavery was supposed to work. It doesn't say it, but when you read how it's supposed to work, it's like a vehicle to eliminate poverty. If you're a servant or a slave, you're in a family group that's going to take care of you. You're going to get fed. You're going to have a place to sleep. You're going to have the security of being part of that group. You're going to learn a skill. There's so many benefits if you did not have anything else. And if you didn't have anything else, this is a pretty good plan. And if you're reading this as a right-thinking person, you're going to say, oh, well, I should respect my slave as another human being. Now, they're going to work for me, but I'm going to respect them. I'm going to value them. And when that 7th year comes, I'm going to turn them loose. It says if the slave doesn't want to leave, verse 6, he'll bring him to God, and he'll bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him permanently. We got a song. How many of you know it? Pierce my ear. Pierce my ear, O Lord, this day. Take me to your... Something like that. I forget how the rest of it goes, but it's a song based on this right here. And there are other laws, other ordinances regarding this, but that was the idea of slavery under the law. So, chapter 21, verses 1 through 11, slavery or blank was not to become a means of blank, but a means of blank. And you're wondering, what in the world is all... Okay, what would be another word for slavery? Servitude? I'd put servitude down there, slavery or servitude. You're going to be a servant. By the way, what are we to God? We are his slaves. We are his servants. Is that a good deal? Is that demeaning to us? Not when you've got a good master. How many times can you read in the scriptures about a master who had a servant that he sent out to do this? How did Isaac get his wife? His dad took a trusted servant, gave him a bunch of camels and a bunch of wealth, and said, you go over here, these are family over here. Don't go to those strangers. Go to my family over there and get a wife for my son. And that's how he found Rebekah, with a trusted servant. That's how that worked. When Naaman was fretting over his leprosy, who told him where to go that he might find healing? A little servant girl, a little captive servant girl in his household. Now, we might think, well, she would have hated him through and through. No, she didn't. Oh, if my master could just go down to Israel, there's a prophet down there that could take care of that leprosy. And then when Naaman heard what to do to take care of the leprosy and he didn't want to do it, who talked him into it? His servants, the servants that went with him. Hey, wait, whoa, wait now. You're making a mistake here. You better get down in that water, big boy. I don't think that's how it was in the Hebrew, but something like that. So, yeah. Slaves were to be blank, blank in their blank year of service. Set free. Oh, I didn't give you the rest of the blanks. Slavery or servitude was not to become a means of commerce. Commerce. God did not say, now you go out and you catch a bunch of people and sell them off and you'll make a lot of money this way. That was not at all what this was about. Not a means of commerce, but a means of provision. You're providing for yourself. If you need somebody to work your land or take care of your flocks, you've got to have servants to do that. And today, it's not the equivalent. But if the people downtown who were homeless were in their right minds, let me say that, and I don't mean to cast aspersions on all the homeless people, but I've tried talking to some of those homeless folks. Almost to a man, they got issues. So it's not like you could go downtown and say, hey, I've got a job, I'd like you to come do it. That won't work the same. But do you remember, Jesus told a parable about a guy who went out to get laborers for his field. And he went out the first hour of the day. And did he get some? Yeah, he found some guys that were just waiting around trying to find work. And he found some. Now, if you've got work on a regular basis and you find a guy and he's a worker, you might say to him, hey, how would you like to be my servant on a permanent basis? Oh, you mean live here with your stuff and sleep in the barn? Sleep in the barn? We would think, oh, you can't sleep in a barn. Hey, listen, a barn was not that much unlike a house in that day. So, yeah, that's a pretty good deal. You'll be in and out of the weather. You'll have some security. You're going to get fed. It's going to be, you'll have something to do with your time. And he kept going back, finding more laborers to come and work. He could tell that story and people would understand it because that's the way it was. People were looking for employment. What can I do to make ends meet, to feed myself and my family? So this was a way to get that done. Last blank there, a slave who wanted to blank with his master, who wanted to stay with his master, was to have his blank pierced as a sign of this commitment. His ear. Oh, the one above it? Slaves were to be set free in their 7th year of service. Let's make sure we got all the blanks in that section. Slavery or servitude was not to become a means of commerce, but a means of provision. And the second bullet point, slaves were to be set free in their 7th year of service. And then a slave who wanted to stay with his master was to have his ear pierced as a sign of his commitment. All right, number 6, justice, including capital punishment. Yes, what we got?
I think it's interesting, I think most people know this, but in our early history of our country, there was a system called indentured service, and or an indentured servant, and they would work for a period of 7 years, and then, at least in the early stages, that they would steal usually a parcel of land that he described as a grub state. I wonder where they got that idea.
Interesting. It would be something if they said, you know what, that's what the Bible says. Yeah, it is. Any of you watch Downton Abbey? What's that house filled with? It's filled with servants. And they could do that in the show because that reflects the historical reality of that period in English life. And it's not like all those servants at the end of the day would pack up their stuff and go home, because a lot of them lived there. That was their job. And if you remember at different points in stories like that, somebody will be in danger of losing their position, and they are worried to death. What are we going to do if I lose this job? Because that was the job, that was the work, that was security. Wasn't any welfare. You couldn't go down to the unemployment office. There was no unemployment office in the wilderness. If you didn't have anything, I better see if I can latch on to somebody and find somebody who's competent and kind. Boaz. What kind of a master do you think Boaz to his servants out gleaning in his field? You start reading the scriptures, you'll find that there were godly men who had servants, and they were glad to have that relationship. All right, chapter 21, 12 through 14. A little farther down the chapter. He who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. If he did not lie in wait for him, but God let him fall into his hand, then I will appoint you a place to which he may flee. Oh, our time is over. If, however, a man acts presumptuously toward his neighbor so as to kill him craftily, you are to take him even from my altar that he may die. What do we call that today? Cold-blooded murder, first-degree murder. So, God was serious about blank offenses. I would put the word violent there. Specified that those whose behavior posed a threat to the safety of others were to be put to death. And in chapter 21, 22, if a man Well, it gets down to where it says in verse 24, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand. So the law was fair in that the one who harmed another was to suffer the same injury. You knock out a tooth, you get your tooth knocked out. You knock out an eye, or take out an eye, you get your eye taken out. What would you think of this being the law of the land today? I think we might be a little better off. All right. Sorry, we got to quit. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you guys for coming to our last night of Vacation Bible School. Can you guys hear me? Can you all hear me? Are we good? Okay. All right. All right. Hey, guys, can you all settle down and have a seat, please? All right. Can you guys please sit down? All right. Thank you guys for coming. We're so excited to wrap up our Vacation Bible School. So remember our theme, where God leads. We will follow. All right, great job. Yeah. So we've been talking about Moses. And so what did Moses do today? What do you guys remember? Yeah. He parted the Red Sea. Yeah. Yeah. But he didn't do it on his own. Where did his power come from? Yeah, it came from God, and God was able to protect him and able to protect the Israelites too from danger. And so we're so glad that we were able to get everyone out here tonight and to learn a little bit more about Moses and how God helped lead him and that he can lead us as well. All right, well, I want you guys to stand up. We have only a couple more songs to sing before we dismiss you guys. Does anyone want to come up on stage for this song? Okay. Dayton, you want to come up here? Dayton? All right, you can come here. And then Birdie, you want to come up here too? Okay. And then one more. We'll get, how about you? What's your name? Addison, yeah, you can come up here too. All right, guys, let Addison come here. All right, do you guys know this song? Okay, all right, you want to do it with me? You want to do it? All right, let's do it. I'm happy today, oh yes, I'm happy today, in Jesus Christ, I'm happy today, because He's taken all my sins away, and that's why I'm happy today. I'm singing today, oh yes, I'm singing today, in Jesus Christ, I'm singing today, because He's taken all my sins away, and that's why I'm singing today. I'm praying today, oh yes, I'm praying today, in Jesus Christ, I'm praying today, because He's taken all my sins away, and that's why I'm praying today. I'm living today, oh yes, I'm living today, in Jesus Christ, I'm living today, because He's taken all my sins away, and that's why I'm living today. I'm happy today, oh yes, I'm happy today, in Jesus Christ, I'm praying today, because He's taken all my sins away, and that's why I'm living today. All right, you guys can go have a seat. Good job. Ready? Good job. Maybe in a little bit. All right, you want to go ahead and sit down? All right, how many of you guys remember our memory verse? All right, you want to say it? Oh, Asher, can you remember it? All right, so it says, I will what? Dwell in the people of Israel, yeah. And who's got the next one? Who's got the next part? All right, yeah. I will dwell among the people of Israel and will what? Will be their God, yeah. I will dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God. And they shall know that what? That I brought them out of Egypt. Is that I am the Lord their God. That's okay. We're all learning it together. Who brought them, now I think you've got it. Yeah, you want to say it? We are at, so it says, I will dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them where? Out of the land of Egypt, that I might what? Micah? Dwell among them. Is that right? All right, awesome. That I might dwell among them for what? You want to say it? You got the last part? I am the Lord their God. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's been our memory verse this week, and it's Exodus 29, verse 45 through 46. So, you guys, let's all say it together. I will dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. Exodus 29, verse 45 and 46. All right, great job, guys. So that's been our memory verse this week. I know it was a long couple verses, but I want you guys to remember that when you go home. I want you to remember that God is our Lord, and that how He brought His people out of the land of Egypt, He can bring us out of the things that we're going through as well. And so with God's protection, we can do great things. And so I want you guys to remember that. With God's protection, we can do great things. So where God leads, what? We will follow. All right, great job, guys. You guys have been awesome. So I got a phone call from a buddy. He said that Booster couldn't make it tonight. Man, I know. Just kidding. Actually, he called me last minute and he said that he could come down here and sing one more song for you guys. You guys want to do that? Yeah! All right, so we're going to sing this last song for Booster, but you guys will not be dismissed, okay? We have one more announcement from Marty and then a prayer from Mr. Marty, okay? So after we sing the song, we're going to have a seat, and Marty's going to give an announcement, all right? All right, let's stand and sing this last song, all right? Let's bring Booster down. Come on down, Booster. Yeah! All right. Awesome, Booster. All right, Booster, are you happy to be here tonight? All right. Well, let's sing the song for Booster. Booster, Booster, be a booster. Don't be crazy like a rooster. Booster, Booster, be a booster. And boost our Bible school. All right, you guys can have a seat. All right, Marty. All right, good job, Booster.
Oh, yeah, the mic. Is it working? Yeah. No, I feel like a country western star. Kate is absolutely right. You guys have been awesome this week. I have not heard the first complaint about any misbehavior or anything like that. You guys are wonderful. I think you're behaving just like Jesus would want you to behave. And I have some numbers. Somebody did some counting. And our total numbers for this week, if I add them up right, is 206 kids and 246 adults for a total of 441 people throughout the week. How about that? Great job. Great work. Also, Phil, would you come down here, please? Oh, dear. There is such a thing as the Academy of Outstanding VBS Actors. And this academy has decided that the Oscar this year should most definitely go to Phil Wilkie for his portrayal of Moses, leading the Israelites out of Egypt.
They love me. They really love me.
Speech.
Man, you guys have been awesome this week. I really appreciate everyone who has come out here. You have made this so much fun, and we are so glad that you came. And so, do you have anything else to say, or you? I think so. Okay. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you, every single one of you, to come to church with us Sunday. And I know a lot of you come every Sunday anyway, but some of you we've just met this week, and I'm so glad I got to meet you. Some of you get to come around whenever you're around, and that's great too. So anytime we can see you, we would love to see you, and it's been a great week with you this week. So right now I'm going to pray, and we'll close this out. Does that sound all right? Yeah. Or someone else got it? Okay, I'm going to pray, and then... Okay, I'm going to pray, and then Cade's going to come talk to you again. All right. God, I want to thank you so much. Every person in this room loves you so much, and they gave up some time in their summer to come and learn about you. We have adults in this room who gave up vacation days, or they gave up evenings that they could have been at home doing something else, but they worked really hard to make this week possible for you. And God, I thank you so much. And God, you are the real award winner here, because we lift you up and we praise you, and we love learning about you, and we love growing in you. And God, I pray that every heart in this room has learned something this week, that they've learned that they can trust in you, that they can believe that you will do what you've promised that you will do, and that we will follow you wholeheartedly with every ounce of our being. God, we thank you so much for being you. We thank you so much for giving us the church, and we thank you so much for giving us people who love you, that we can surround ourselves with, and praise your name together. God, we pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
All right. So, okay. So, yeah. Before you dismiss, make sure when you leave, make sure you grab your goodie bag that's over at the front of the foyer, okay? So for those of you that did crafts all week, we have those baskets ready for you guys. So make sure you pick those up. Make sure parents, you pick up your kids too. So yeah, don't want to forget them. I know it's vacation week, but you know. So make sure before you guys leave, make sure you grab your goodie bags, okay? All right, you're dismissed. Thank you, guys.